Good evening, Pacific Rivers Council, and welcome to our virtual roundtable. Today, during our cup breakout, we're going to be talking about PAC planning and how to plan your activities on your calendar. We'll talk a little bit about budget, and with me, I have brought my ever trusty Cub Master from PAC 007. Diane, how you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Of course. So
let's
I
talk
remember last week we talked about planning ahead because we're talking about our campouts. Well,
right.
That planning has to start somewhere. And so tonight I brought tons of examples of calendars that we've used in the last couple of years because there's no wrong way to have a calendar.
Right.
You just have to have something. And so the first thing you need to talk about is your logistics. And some of that is already determined based on your space that's available, the nights that work out for your facility. So for us, we meet on Mondays because that's when we get to use this fabulous building.
Yeah.
Other things you have to think about is your frequency. You know, what type of meetings do you have to have, and then the cost. So we're fortunate that we don't have to pay for our building.
Right.
So that's not a budget item, but we do have to have a budget to think about the planning things that we do, and you have to bring in money. So fundraising becomes part of your planning as well.
Right.
And then, like I said, there's many different examples that I brought tonight, and there's no wrong way to use it. You can use like a school calendar, you can use a Word document, or you can make a chart. There's a lot of different ways that you can do. But the one thing you always want to use too when using your planning is what's in front of you. You want to use that journey to excellence so you can work on that throughout the year, but you already know where you're going to begin at.
Right, and this is a great tool for you to use when you're planning and creating your planning calendar.
Yep, and a lot of them, I mean, right there, starting with your first one, you know, these change every year, but the foundation of them is the same.
Right.
So even if we don't have next year's, we can still use this year's.
Of course.
So that planning and budget, that's your first one. Just having a budget and a plan, you've got bronze level right there.
Right.
And then your outdoor activities are there as well. So you just make sure you have activities throughout the year, and you've got that category too. So it's a really great tool to help you plan your calendar throughout the year.
And everything's broken down. You have your planning, your budget, you have your membership, you have your program, and then you have your volunteer leadership as well. So all of that is covered. And it really, if you do the minimum what's on here, you're going to earn at least bronze.
Yeah.
At least. So if you're using this, I think you'll create a good program for your unit, and you'll come up with some great activities.
Yep, and all those categories too that you just state, I include in my calendar as well.
Okay.
So things that you need to think about, who's involved in the planning?
That's right.
You know,
Very important.
is it the scouts? Is it the leaders? Is it the parents? You have to think about that. So your key three, so depending on who's involved in that in your facility, your COR may be more involved with the calendar and regarding coordination of the facility. I know that happens for us, and so we have to make sure we're able to reserve the rooms that we need. Leaders, they need to be on board and know what's coming up for the next year. And then your parents, because they're the one transporting, because we're a PAC.
Right.
So without them, you're not going to be able to fully implement a full program.
Right. So do you get any type of feedback from the scouts themselves? I know it's a PAC, and really the adults are really driving everything, but do you ever sit the Cubs down and say, hey guys, gals, what would you like to do or see or during the year?
We used the year prior to see what was a good hit and what was a miss. And based on the participation there, we either carry it over or we don't.
Okay.
It's a little bit harder just because of spacing for us, but that is something that you could implement for other programs.
Okay. Good.
So things to include, so what's on your calendar? You need your dead meetings. Another one on there, you need to have committee meetings.
Right.
You know, the parents, you can do the bare bones for your initial calendar and put some random dates on there.
Right.
And then every committee meeting touch base about the next coming months, so that way you're doing it throughout the year. You don't want to plan it and not touch it again. You want to be touching it throughout each month as possible.
Things change, programs change, other activities will come online that weren't on the schedule, that will come up later on during the year, that depending on when you do your calendar for the following year, there will be activities that will pop on the calendar. Maybe that's something that you want to change. So, I think it's important that every month when you meet at your committee meetings, you do look at the calendar to see if anything's changed. Because, it's life, stuff does change, you know.
Well, even just with changing, we did our annual planning in August, right before the school year started, but nobody showed up. So because in the area they get out of school so late, we
Right.
actually end our program right before we start our summer months. And so by having the planning meeting while school is still in session, we found that participation was a lot higher.
Okay.
So you'll find some adjustments
Right.
with that too.
Okay, good.
So, and then PAC meetings, those need to get included on there, and then you'll have your bare bones between your meeting dates. And then you gotta think about your outings.
Right.
So are you going on campouts? And I believe this was a category in here too. You have your campouts, any particular field trips, pack hikes, you could do those, and then community service projects, which I believe is
Yep.
another line item in there
They're on-
too.
It's on here as well.
So, and you can incorporate those things together. So on a hike, you can do your community service project of cleaning up as you go. Because we want to really instill those leave no trace principles in them too.
Yeah.
And then, so you have your meetings. You've got your den meeting, your committee meeting, your PAC meetings. Key 3, they may want to go ahead and get their meetings coordinated too as possible. But then you have the fun parts. You have your different activities,
That's right.
recruitment opportunities.
Yeah.
I know you and I have been doing a lot of those lately too, so you'll want to work with your area, see what kind of opportunities are there.
Definitely.
Back to school, are you doing a join night? Is there a
Yeah.
council join night, thinking about that? But then you have like the derbies. And I say derbies because there's more than
That's
one.
right, there's more than one. That's
Yeah,
right.
you've got the Pinewood Derby, you've got Space Derby,
That's right.
Rain Gutter Regatta.
That's right.
And Rain Gutter Regatta is a great one to incorporate in the summer and keep the scouts involved.
Yeah.
Because summer's busy between camp and just summer break, but you still want to keep them scouting.
Exactly, yeah.
So your program, if you can help it, should not go just the school year. You should meet
All
throughout
year
the
round.
summer
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, even the summer, yes.
And then the council has a lot of great activities. So like Scoutorama, that's
That's coming
coming
up.
up, right? And
Yes.
May 11th, I believe,
is,
Mother's
it
Day
is.
weekend.
That's right.
Uh,
Happy
Count-
Mother's Day.
yes, take them out for a fun time.
That's right.
Or moms go get a break
There
while
you
your
go.
scouts are there.
Exactly, yes.
Camps. So there's a lot of great council camps. The Palani is
That's right.
coming up. You have the Mom and Me, Dad and Lad. There's resident camp, day camp. There's fall festival.
Fall
There's a
festival.
lot of camps.
Yes.
And then as you incorporate the troop, there's a lot more too. Where you have your Weeblos, you have your night hike. So there's
That's
a lot
right.
of council activities, and you can find those on the Pacific Harbors Council website,
Mhm.
like you show.
Yeah.
And then training opportunities. So that's another on their volunteer leadership. So
That's right.
you want to incorporate activities and opportunities for the leaders to get their training as well.
That's right.
So University of Scouting is a great one to take all of your leaders on one day and get the training that they need.
Mhm.
Or you can work with the trainer council and work with them about getting training done for your area, or your
That's right.
district commissioner can come in and do the
They
youth
sure
protection
can.
training.
Yep.
That is the minimum that you want all of your families to even have too, and then you want the
Yeah.
training on top of that.
So you can incorporate that in your calendar too.
Yep, and you can add all of that in, and if they have the heads up, they can make the accommodations to
That's
be
right.
there.
That's right.
Blue and Gold Banquet, got to celebrate the birthday of
Yes,
Scouting.
they do.
So that's always a big night. During the summer and even spring, fall, when it's nicer in
Mhm.
Washington, there's a lot of the Scout nights. So like University of Washington has the Husky football game,
That's right.
Rainier's baseball game.
That's coming up too.
That is in June.
Yes.
And then there's also there's a bunch of different activities for Scout nights that are a great opportunity. You go to hockey games, baseball, and then there's just within the communities too, they do a lot. And then fundraising. So we talked about the budget. You have your dues that come in, but that's really covering what the Scout and the PAC need. But on top of that, you want a little flexibility.
Right.
So you want to work into your budget some type of fundraising and how you can do that so you can work with your community. And then collaboration. Most units are associated with a charter organization that has more than one unit.
Right.
So how can you do opportunities to lead to that? So a pack hike, a camp out, community service project, what troop or crew or other packs can you bring into that
Right, yeah.
to get to know more scouts? some activities to do.
Yeah, and I think that's key. You talk about other PACs as well. Nothing says that PACs can't get together and do a nice big event. I know that we try to do the troop and the crew always try to come out with the PAC. So that way we can, do that bonding with the PAC and the troop, and the Cubs really get to see what, the troop does. So I think that's a great thing to really incorporate into your calendar so everybody's tracking and everybody, the events are really well attended. That way everyone's there. Bottom line is, when you're working on these calendars and you're putting all these stuff in here, fun. Make it all fun, because you want to keep them engaged, and you want people, you want everyone to keep coming back. So that's definitely
Well,
important.
that takes me to the tips really of doing a calendar is when you're choosing all the different activities, you want to think about the purpose.
Right.
Does it serve a purpose? Is it fun?
Right.
And you want it to be fun because, like you said, they're not going to come if it's not fun.
If you bore them to death, forget it. They won't come back. That's right.
And parents, if you have them fill out that family talent survey that we've talked about in the
That's
past,
right.
you can use that or just to get to know them. But how can you incorporate their talents, their skills, their knowledge into those activities too, and get them to really step up and be interested?
Even little stuff. I mean, they don't have to do a lot of stuff. Even just one little thing for an activity, you can really get them engaged.
Oh, absolutely.
That's really good. Yeah.
And then you want to make sure that everybody can be included.
Yeah.
So what accommodations need to be made, or what can you do to adjust, but making sure that everything, from your logistics as well as to where you're going, as much inclusion as possible. But that also expands past the scout, and how can the family be involved?
Right.
So you have those tag-along scouts, the ones that are not old enough to be a cub, or you have those older scouts, so the troop or the crew. How do you get everybody to be able to be at the same location together?
Yeah.
So those are things you want to think about. And then in doing so, always referencing that guide to safe scouting.
That's right.
Especially with doing your program, is the location you're choosing, the
Right.
activity, does it fall within here? So that's something else to think.
Definitely.
And then once you've gotten through your pack calendar, you have to think about your den. So that's another aspect
That's right.
of planning, and this will bring, your leaders can do these individual or they can do this together. But I
Right.
really think you need to establish that pack calendar first, so that way you can look at what's on there and then incorporate that into your
Right.
pack. And so things you always need to consider is that 2 deep leadership. So again, guide to safe scouting, that's
That's right.
your number one rule. Collaboration. So if you're a large pack and have multiple dens,
That's right.
how do all the dens go on that same field trip or same outing? Or there's similar activities for each rank. Somebody else needs to go to that police station or the fire station.
Right. Yeah.
How do you get them involved as well? And your achievements, using that pack calendar, how do you strategize and get those specific camping ones done at the camp out? Or just thinking about the time of the year, do you really want to go camping in January? If you could do that in April or May instead.
Exactly.
So if you plan ahead, you can coordinate that.
Yes.
And then be flexible. How many snow weeks did we just have? 2, 3 meetings we had to miss?
At least a couple.
Yeah.
At least a couple.
So just be flexible. Be able to adjust and make the changes as needed. You want to help them make rank, but it's okay if a scout misses something and is unable to get to that. Or you work with that family so that they know what to do at
They can
home.
always make it up, so that's not a problem.
Yeah. And again, those family talents. Just because you're the den leader doesn't mean you have to run the den. All you are there is help supervising, so this is a great one at the Tigers and the Lions, where everybody is supposed to be
That's right.
rotating through. So really use those family talents
Oh, yeah,
and get those
definitely.
parents involved. Nobody wants that parent who's sitting in the back of the room playing on their
Playing on
phone,
their phone.
scrolling through. You want to keep them involved because that's what the scout sees as well. And then electives, one way to get around that too, have the scout choose what they're interested in. What do you want to do as a den
Right.
in the next month? As the weed blows an arrow light, how can that scout then lead that activity as well and work on that edge method?
Right. And when you get that on the calendar, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because then everyone is tracking, the parents are tracking, and everyone knows what's going on.
Yep. And then it allows them to plan too.
Right.
So I wanted to show a couple examples.
Yeah, so why don't we start from this end and show us what you have over there.
So this is an example of like a school calendar.
Right.
So you can use that and have all the meetings on the side and just the same format. I've had families think that's very helpful because then it's mimicking the school calendar.
Everything's
it just follows
right
that.
there, and they just
Yeah.
it's helpful, more practical.
And then this is a troop calendar actually, and so we have all the meetings listed on there, the camp out. But we also, because this is focused on the month, I really had the senior patrol leader in mind with this, so they would be able to plan accordingly. But it has the following month meetings and activities on the bottom, so that way they are able to plan. This one is a DEN calendar, and so it's broken up by the meeting, the achievement that they're going to be working on, and then it also has the location. So if there's a field trip involved, or if it's a pack hike, where we're going, where's the camp out.
It's on.
So it has all of the information. One of the pack calendars that we have done is where you have the date, the type of meeting or activity, as well as council events on there.
I
And
like
we
that,
found
yes.
that very helpful because a lot of families weren't checking the Pacific Harbor's website. So they weren't aware of a lot of those activities, and then all of a sudden you have a higher amount of people attending that Harley Davidson, you know, getting their Pinewood Derby or going to camp. And like, I had no idea.
Right.
So it really was helpful. And then these are just some other DEN calendars where I just kind of started, and it just real basics has that on there, and then that's a pack calendar
Right.
again.
It's a monthly pack calendar, right? But it doesn't
And-
have. It just has the dates and what the activity is.
Yep, and you don't have to be super fancy. You don't have to be complicated. You're basically telling your families what's happening and where to be and when, and that's all they need to know. And if you talk about it frequently at your, you know, quick announcement at the PAC meeting, at your committee meetings, they're going to be in the loop and they're going to know.
Yeah, and another great tool that people are using now, Scoutbook.
Yes.
It's the Scoutbook calendar, which is one of my favorites now because I've populated the troops calendar. All of it is on there, so parents can go in there whenever they want, and they can just look. They can plan and go, okay, they've got this coming up, and it's all right there because you give everyone access, and they can view the calendar as well. Because some people like a piece of paper in front of them, and then others they like to just have a computer where they can just open up the website. And there it is, or smartphones.
Yeah.
It's just because people are on the go, and it just makes it easier for everyone. So that's just another way that people can use, and you can use several, as you guys do. You guys use different ways to communicate with your den, your pack, your families. The troop that's involved with you guys, the crew, and now the girl troop. So that's all. It keeps everybody on the same sheet of music, and everyone's tracking all the activities. So we can support each other. I think that's important.
With Scoutbook too, you can send out reminders.
That's right.
So that way they're like, oh, I had no idea. It's like, well, did you now though? Because I know I sent a reminder 3 days before and then 1 day before too.
I get your reminders.
Yes.
I do.
And then you can also send out messages according to specific, you can set in requirements saying, oh, this is meeting something from the JTE. You can say that it's a service project, it's achievement related, so you can really get a lot out of Scoutbook and the calendar function too.
And talking about Scoutbook, next month we will specifically be talking about Scoutbook. We'll go in there and talk a little bit about some of the stuff you can do with Scoutbook. It's a great tool, and I encourage all the units to start using it because I think it's gonna be a great thing.
And
they're already improving it. Yes, of course.
Can't beat that.
You can't beat free, and they're improving it as you go along. I've noticed that, so it's getting really good.
Yeah.
Anything else? I know we talked about, so one of the things that I think is important as you're doing you're gathering all your documents and your calendars is to remember to get your school calendars when they come out. That way so for instance, you have your spring breaks, and a lot of families, they take that time and they go away. So do you really want to plan an activity, or do you really want to plan a PAC meeting or something else during that week? So that's something you really think about. And you also mentioned your chart organization because we use this building. So you got to look at their calendar as well to see what's coming up because there's a lot of activities that happen here. So I think that's another thing that you need to make sure you have is wherever you're meeting have their activity calendar as well. So as you're putting all this together, make sure that you incorporate all of your calendars because there's a lot of stuff going on in other areas than just our little world. And that's important that we remember that as well.
Well, and then you also need to think about the holidays too. So we already talked
Sure.
about the summer. You want to keep them engaged. So yes, you want them to go to summer camp, but what
Mm-hmm.
do you want to do as a pack or as
Right.
a den? And what can you do? So we've done an end of summer fish out, but we got smoked out. So
Yes.
we were fishing indoors. We went fishing for Swedish fish. So we still caught the fish.
Yes.
We've done.
And they had a great time.
They did.
They had a great time.
Even last minute changes like that. We do rain gutter regatta because in July it's the 1 month that's actually hot, so they enjoy being out there in the water and doing family games. And then June we do our move up, but we also do our end of the calendar year or calendar. We do a camp out right before school gets out too, so that way they're still around before summer break.
Right.
But how do you incorporate and keep your program strong? Because those are opportunities that the kids are going and seeing other friends that you can really do as a recruitment, as well as invite the neighborhood, have them come out, meet at the park.
That's right. So there's a lot of stuff that you could really incorporate into your calendar. If leaders get together, they can come up with a really good program. And like we said before, I mean, even if you follow the bare bones of the GTE here, during the excellence, even if you're doing the minimum, you're still going to get bronze. So if you can imagine, you put all this stuff on the calendar and you do all these events, you're going to score gold easy.
Oh yeah.
And you're going to have an outstanding program, not just for your Cubs, but also your family and all the siblings that come along as well. So that's a great thing to do and a great tool to use when you're sitting down and you're coming up with a calendar.
Yeah, that's just one of the resources. We also talked about the Guide to Safe Scouting. We tried looking earlier, but there's the budget available
That's right.
on scouting.org that can be used. When you're planning your den or even your pack, you can use the leader books, or you can just even use your Scouts book and plan your achievements and what you're going to do individually that way
That's
too.
right.
And there's, the leader how-to book. There's the ceremonies book if you're a Cub master to plan.
Yeah.
Think about the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. Each month, there's a lot of resources that you can really utilize and keep the same thing if it works. Rotate some things around, rotate your themes, but you don't have to change it completely.
No, all you do is really improve on it. Whatever you've done the previous year, you're really improving it, because you can tell what's really what the Scouts have really enjoyed and what they haven't really. Well, it was okay, so maybe we want to do something different the following year. So that's a good thing to do that, because you don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, knowing that the Cubs didn't really enjoy all that much. So this is a great opportunity for you to plug something else that's a little different, maybe more exciting.
Yep. Or rotate through the derbies. Pinewood Derby one year, maybe coming back with the Space Derby next year if you're not implementing both of them.
Right.
So you can do a lot like that where it's just a simple change, but they're still getting the same type of activity.
Exactly. Yes. So these are some great tools, and we talked about the budget. And the Excel spreadsheet from scouting.org, if you download it, it's really broken down for you. I mean, it's by scout, by events, how much per scout, if you bring in dues, if you do fundraisers, how much you bring. I mean, it's broken down.
Popcorn's in there.
Popcorn. I mean, everything is absolutely in there. All you really have to do is just kind of plug in your numbers.
Yep.
And it kind of calculates, hey, you're going to need this much money per scout. So you'll know between your dues and your popcorn and your other fundraisers, you will really know how much you're going to need to run your program for the year.
It's super user friendly. You don't have to have an accountant or somebody who's a math whiz. Just anybody can do that as your treasurer.
Right.
And you want to make sure that person's involved with the planning for sure. So that way they can let you know, hey, if this is our calendar, we need more money, or we're good, or we've got more than enough. So if we want to incorporate another activity, we can. So you want to make sure they're aware of the budget and the calendar that goes with it.
Right. Okay. Well, awesome. Thank you very much, Ms. Diana. You gave us a lot of good stuff here, a lot of great examples here. You can really tell that you are definitely a planner.
I am.
Just by the things that I'm looking at, you are definitely a planner. So, you're in the right position as a Cub Master. So I want to thank you for sharing this with us, and I hope that was useful for our audience. because I know some packs are smaller, some are bigger, so they do different things. Maybe we've given them a couple good ideas here that they can use.
Well, just for food for thought too, when I came on as Cub Master, we only had 13 scouts and we had a bare minimum for our calendar. You know, we did the same activities, but now that we've grown to over 30 scouts, our calendar is just about the same, but how we have those functions, going back to those logistics, that's where we really had to make some changes. So it doesn't matter if you're big or small, 100 people, you may have to make sure you have a big enough facility, but the activity-wise, you can still run it the same way.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Diana.
And
for all of you out there, make sure you do a great planning session for your packs. Jam it packed full of great activities for your cubs, your families, and your siblings. And have a good time. Remember, keep it fun. Until next time, keep on scouting.
Good evening, Pacific Rivers Council. I'm so excited tonight. You will never know where I am. I am at Cheney Stadium with Rhubarb, special guest, and Mark Woodman. So, for all those baseball fans, you know what's coming up. Baseball season. So guess what? It's about the time to eat some popcorn and drink some soda and just have a great old time. And come on and check out Rhubarb. So, Mark, what you got for us? There's something coming up real soon, isn't there?
Absolutely. We got Scout Night with the Tacoma Rainiers on Saturday, June 29th. Doors open here at Cheney Stadium at 5:05 p.m. So come check it out. All the details are on pacificharbors.org, ready to go. And come out and see our favorite reindeer, Rhubarb.
That's right. Don't forget about Rhubarb. And come check out the Rainiers. As you can see behind us, they're getting the field ready. So it's time to get excited about baseball. Come out and check out the Rainiers. Come out and hang out with Rhubarb. And don't forget about, being in uniform and coming out here and having a good time, okay? So don't forget it. Put it on your calendars. Tell Mom and Dad, say, hey, Mom and Dad, we got to go, okay? So don't forget about it. We look forward to seeing you. Until then, keep on scouting.
Good evening, Pacific Harbors Council, and welcome to another edition of our virtual roundtable. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of visiting Mighty Troop 436 out of Lakewood. And tonight, we're going to chat about merit badges. Who do I have with me tonight?
Matt Red Orchid from Troop 436, Scoutmaster.
Jeremy Rooney, Troop 436, Assistant Scoutmaster.
And I'm Tom Curry, Troop 436. I'm a troop committeeman.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for allowing me to come out here, and let's talk a little bit about merit badges. So, Red, you're the Scoutmaster, right? How do you guys handle your merit badges as far as your youth are concerned?
Well, we try to plan it into our program. Especially, we try to focus mostly on the Eagle type requirements that are more difficult to get, or the long-term ones such as personal fitness, personal management, that take a few months.
Right.
And then we encourage them to go to Merit Badge College when they have them. Like when Quorum has the swimming merit badge, we give them the opportunity, let them know about it. And then, of course, summer camp, we encourage the boys to take as many merit badges as they're interested in.
Right. So when they go to summer camp, do you encourage them to pick certain merit badges, or you just kind of let them, hey guys, you just pick whatever you guys want? Or how do you?
We usually work with the advancements on that to go, okay, what merit badges are the boys looking at, and we try to make sure that they work on a couple merit badges towards either advancements or towards Eagle. But we also want them to take the fun ones because a lot of times they can't get those outside of summer camp.
Right.
So like metalworking or rifle shooting or some of these ones that are hard to do at the troop level.
So for one of our summer camp experiences, we go to a large camp in the Midwest that has a very stable merit badge program.
Right.
We're actually able to develop a syllabus of what we suggest scouts take. First year scouts will take Trail to First Class, and then since it's summertime and it's a nice place, if they're a swimmer, then we do swimming merit badge. And then they have the opportunity to take one or two that is more at the level of a first class scout, some handicraft or one of the more fundamental merit badges.
Right.
For our second year campers, there's the opportunity for, we usually tend to hit the Eagle merit badges a little bit harder that are good to get at camp, some environmental science, sustainability, emergency prep, first aid. This particular camp has a very nice package of being able to do that. Then third year campers, usually shooting sports, cope, climbing, things that are more appropriate for older scouts. And then for the more senior scouts, 17, 18-year-olds, there's a lot of opportunity for the occupational merit badges, plumbing, welding, farm mechanics, animal sciences, those sorts of things. So we do automotive maintenance. We do a program. Another thing that we will do is in some of our preparatory campouts prior to summer camp, we have the ability in our troop of having a lot of subject matter experts and opportunities. So we will pick a merit badge and work on it as part of our preparatory experiences. We've toured a chemical plant and earned the chemistry merit badge. We've toured a railroad yard and earned the railroading merit badge. We're planning on touring a power plant and working on the electricity merit badge. So you can use your subject matter experts in your troop and in your extended troop family to find something that they love to teach. And there's so many merit badges that almost always you can find somebody that loves to teach something or is an expert in it. Mr. Rooney is an expert in transportation and truck transportation and those sorts of things. So that's a great merit badge for him to teach. Red is an expert in radio, so radio is a great merit badge for him to teach.
That's right. And you did robotics as well, don't you do
Robotics.
Because I know some of the boys that I know have earned the robotics merit badge with you as well.
Yeah, so I do more of the technology ones, like digital technology, like programming, the robotics, that kind of stuff. So, but those are pretty popular during Merit Badge College. I tend to teach 2 or 3 of those every time.
Yeah. So what about your new scouts that are just coming in? They're young, you know, they don't really have any experience. Do you usually, how do you encourage them? How do you, with their merit badges, how do you push that with them? Do you just let them take whatever they want, or do you encourage them to, you know, work on toward the first class and then work on those easy ones? Or do you just say, hey guys, just take whatever you want? How do you guys, because I know some troops kind of limit how many merit badges a youth has open. Do you guys have that type of limit, or do you guys kind of just let them be?
We try to. Our advancement chair has done a really good job recently of getting a handle on that, because we had a few boys that had 8, 10 merit badges open. We have the advantage in our troop. We've got a really strong committee, so they'll go back and talk to the kids if they've got a merit badge. Hey, you've had this merit badge open for 9 months. What's going on? Do we need to help you with the merit badge counselor? If we don't have one, we can find one. With the newer kids, we try to focus a little more on the trail of first class, and then, if we have a cooking merit badge or something like that, because it does go kind of with the campouts, we'll encourage them to kind of start on it, but we look at the level, brand new, they're looking focused more on getting that first class.
Right.
So, like Tom said, summer camp is when we kind of focus a little more on the merit badges for them to get them started. That's a perfect opportunity in a kind of a controlled environment for them to be at a level with their own peers, versus us throwing them in with an Eagle Scout or a Life Scout for a cooking merit badge. So we do try to encourage, when they're a little younger, after they've gotten their first class, to take more of the difficult, well, not difficult, but like personal fitness, personal management, the ones that take 3 or 4 months, because you probably talk to nearly any Life Scout, and they've taken personal management, probably started 4 different times.
Right. Yeah.
So the younger they start those ones, the better, because you don't want them to be 17 and 10 months and all of a sudden realize they have a merit badge that takes 3 months.
Right.
So
I think each troop finds their own way of doing things. We are boy-led but adult-managed. And for a scout who's new to this, I think picking some easy wins. I mean, every merit badge is hard in its own ways, but there are some that are certainly easier to do as a group or easier to do as an outing. Fire safety is a great one. You go to the fire station, you see the big truck. That's right up a 12-year-old's alley. They love that.
Yes.
Doing the American Labor Merit Badge is much more cerebral and much more suitable for an older scout.
Right.
That can do that. A merit badge, which for an 11-year-old might be really hard. Citizenship in the world. For a high school sophomore who's done sociology, done world history, something like that, they can do that in a very short order.
Right.
When it comes to limiting merit badges, different troops have different philosophies, and that's appropriate. If a scout is interested, I don't see any harm in saying, yeah, let's see if we can get this done.
Right.
And then circle back around. If it's laying low for a little bit, circle back around and remind them. Hey, where are we at with that? Didn't you owe me a budget? And you can encourage that and get them done.
Okay. Awesome. So
because sometimes with the boys, they kind of forget that they've started it, you know, they'll let it go, and you have to reach, like I said, you have to come back around. And like my son at one time had, I think, 12 or 13 merit badges open, and half the ones he didn't even remember. He's like, oh yeah, I started fishing, I caught the fish and I never did the knot, and I forgot all about it. And you know, so having the adults being able to, a good advancement chair, being able to look at it, go, hey, you've had this open, and you know, encouraging them, coming back, say, hey, what are you doing with this? And that helps get the merit badges.
So your troop procedure, do the youth usually come to you, say, hey, Scoutmaster, I want to work on whatever merit badge, and they open their merit badge with you, you give them the blue card and all that?
They usually talk with the advancement chair first to get their blue card, and our current advancement chair will a lot of times look and go, well, you know, you got this many, you know, I'm not going to stop you, but you still need to work on these.
Right.
And then I'll sign off usually on, okay, I think, you know, it's appropriate for the age or, you know, where they're at. Or, you know, I don't think I've ever said no to any scout that wants to take any merit badge, but they just usually come through me to make sure I'm aware that they're taking that merit badge.
I think there's 2 tools that are very, very helpful. 3 tools. So the blue card, you know, very helpful. Mm-hmm. The workbook that you can print off from you know, My Scouting or U.S. Scouting, or you know, if all you got to do is Google merit badge workbook for whatever merit badge you want, and then the scout can hang on to that. They can write stuff down. You know, 3 months from now when they find it, you know, in the bottom of their backpack or wherever. Oh, I already did most of these requirements. They can. That's a tool to refresh them. Scout book looks awesome when it comes to that. If your advancement people keep it up, because literally the day you do a requirement, they can check that off, and it's electronic, and it'll send some messages to the counselor or whatnot. I think any troop out there has got a lot more resources than they know they have. If they just talk to their adults, figure out what people are interested in, figure out what hobbies they have, and you know, a little bit of encouragement, and you can get, you know, adults that never would have thought they could teach or be a scouter or you know, impact the life of a scout. And they can come and talk about their passion. They can talk, whatever, beekeeping, bugling, you know, stuff that I have no interest in, but that's what they love. And they can give that to those youth.
And we try to do like a talent worksheet when they come in. So we have a sheet basically that says, okay, what are your interests? What are your hobbies? And a lot of times parents will be like, oh, you mean I can help? And they're not really aware until you hand them a piece of paper and say, hey, you know, give us some hobbies, and then we can kind of come back and encourage them to, hey, maybe you want to teach a merit badge class. So it's kind of a good idea to maybe put that talent worksheet, like when you do a new scout orientation, you know, hand that out to all the parents and, hey, fill this out for us, and do you mind if we, you know, discuss with you about teaching this class or anything like that? So that's a lot of, you'll find a lot more talent than you realize you have just by doing something like that.
Like you guys said, there's a lot of resources within your own troop.
Absolutely.
So, Jeremy, what do you counsel?
I do the truck driving and transportation merit badge and traffic safety, and I also do the cooking merit badge. I figured, you know, I love to cook and, you know enough to be able to instruct the youth on how to do certain things within their kitchen at home and also on the trail. And by trade, I'm a truck driver, so I know a lot of traffic safety rules and rules of the road and everything else, and I transport things. So
yeah, and you're doing some of those that you typically don't hear about. So that's a good thing that you guys can offer that to your troops in your.
That's one of the reasons why I decided, you know, to go ahead and do that, was because you don't see too many boys with those merit badges, and so, you know, they get to something other ones probably couldn't, you know. So.
Okay, awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate you letting me come visit you guys and talk a little bit about marriage, because that's important for our youth. You know, a lot of the youth work on merit badges, and it'll be things that they do later on in life. So that's a great thing. So thank you for having us, and keep doing what you're doing. Pacific Harbors Councils, until next time, keep on scouting. Good evening, Pacific Harbors Council. I have a special guest with me tonight. As we're talking about merit badges, I figured we'd talk to an Eagle Scout. So I have with me J.P. Baker, an Eagle Scout out of the mighty Troop 436. So J.P., tell us a little bit about some of the merit badges that you have earned along your scouting career so far.
Sure. So I earned about 50 merit badges. I almost earned my second silver palm, so that would put me to 30 extra merit badges. Originally, you're supposed to earn 20 merit badges to earn the rank of Eagle. And my favorite merit badges that I've earned would be the cooking, because I like cooking, as well as the chemistry and the nuclear science, because I kind of like that science stuff. And I'm not really fond of the citizenship, but I just did those just because they're Eagle required. So for advice as how you should get your merit badges is you should try to get the Eagle ones out of the way as soon as you join. Especially the cooking and the personal management and the family life, because those things take like 3 months to complete, and you have to log all your cooking, how many calories was each food item, and how much it cost. And a lot of those were really difficult to get. I did require some help from my dad to get them, but after that, I was able to complete all those requirements, get those merit badges, and yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself for getting those. It was really worth it.
Okay, awesome. So you've gone to several summer camps now. Wasn't there one summer where you earned 15 merit badges or so?
Yes, so I went to Camp Piggott, and then I went to Camp Geiger.
Right.
So from each of those, I earned about 5 merit badges. And I also went to Camp Fife, which I earned 4 more, so almost 50, not quite.
But you were pretty close though.
Pretty close, yeah.
So I know you mentioned a couple of your favorites. Tell us about probably one of your most memorable moments on one of those favorite merit badges that you've worked on. What was one of those things that really stuck out to you as you're working on that merit badge? You remember?
Sure, so one was when I was working on the cooking merit badge when I was at the wash jam, and so we were making pancakes, and it was like instant pancakes, so you had like pancake powder in this tube, and then you pour water in that. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to shake it. So the person who handed it to me did not screw the lid tight enough. So when I started shaking, it splattered all over my shirt, so I was covered in pancake. And yeah,
So you were just one big pancake then, huh?
pretty much.
Okay. So you definitely won't forget about that one, will you?
Right.
You'll probably be taking your grandkids about that one. Outstanding. Was there another merit badge that you really sticks out to you that you really were like, wow, I'm glad I did that merit badge?
Right. So metalworking, I don't really
Okay.
find many places that do that merit badge.
Right.
So Camp Fife was the one that was providing that, and I really enjoyed working with the metal. I learned some things about how you're supposed to cool it properly. So that's pretty cool.
So, and you have your Eagle Scout, and you're still working on merit badges, aren't you?
Yes.
So how old are you now?
I'm 16.
So still got a couple years.
Right.
So are your intentions to continue work on merit badges and adding to your record there?
Right, so any merit badges that pop up that I don't have that interest me, I'll just take. So shotgun is one merit badge that I'm really interested in taking.
Right.
I know they have that at Camp Geiger, which is in Missouri,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know anywhere else where they have that.
Good. Yeah, there's a lot of other summer camps that do have that. So good. So you're still working on, you're still motivated, you're still doing that thing. And is there anything that you've taken so far that you could probably say, hey, you know what, I would probably like to do that as we grow older as a career? Was there anything you've taken so far that might interest you to do that?
Yeah, so the chemistry merit badge and the nuclear science. So I'm kind of interested in that field, and I'm thinking on being an engineer someday in those fields. So yeah, those were the 2 merit badges that kind of stuck out for my future.
Okay, awesome. Well, JP, thank you for thank you for allowing me to come out and have a chat with you. I think it's very awesome. Congratulations on your Eagle, and keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great things.
All right.
Until next time, keep on. What we're going to do now is I'm going to show you where you can get the merit badge form for the council. So the first thing, of course, you want to do is open your browser and go into the Pacific Harbors Council website. Once you're there, look for the resource tab, which is on the left-hand side, the second row. Under there, there's a list. The very first thing you see there, it says forms and helpful links. You want to go into there. Once you go into there, it's going to bring you to another page. If you look down that list and you look for, it's about halfway down your list. It says 2018 Revised Merit Badge Counselor Application. You want to go ahead and click on that. Now, it should download the form. This is a 4-page form. The first 2 sheets are informational for the counselor. What I want to do is on the bottom of page 1, it tells you how this is processed and the type of documents that you need. The first thing you need to do is you have to have an adult application filled out. Make sure you have that all filled out. After that, make sure you have your YPT current and make sure you print out a copy of that. Once you do that, then you get into this form. So if you keep scrolling down, this is more information. This is more information for the counselor. When you get to the third page, that's when the actual form begins. So you want to fill this out. You got your name in there, your district, everything else. Everything is in there. Make sure you fill all that out. Make sure you read your qualifications there. That's very important. Then what you want to do is, where it says complete the following, you want to go down. So if you're a first-time merit badge counselor, right, you want to make sure that you either want to serve all the youth in the council, or you want to serve just your unit, which is either way is fine. Just make sure you mark one of those out and fill in the troop information in there. Like I said, if this is your first time and you're just now registered to be a merit badge counselor, make sure that you have your BSA adult application filled out. Another thing you need this form is if you have to update your list. So if you, let's say you have your merit badge counselor for five or six merit badges and you want to add another 2 or 3, then you have to fill out one of these other forms. So make sure you do that. If you no longer wish to be a merit badge counselor, you pick that last one, exit, make sure you get all that filled in, and make sure you turn it into your district. At your district level, that's where it will be signed, dated, and then it'll go up to the council to make sure it gets into your record. The last page is where all your merit badges are. That's where you get to pick which merit badges you want to help our youth with. One of the important things about the back form here is, if you keep scrolling down, there are a number of merit badges that require certain certifications. You have to provide a copy of whatever certification you have for that type of merit badge. So let's say, for instance, you're going to do the scuba diving merit badge. Make sure you have your certification for that. If you're going to do archery, make sure you have certification for that. So all those merit badges that are listed there, make sure you put your certification as part of your whole packet when you turn it in. Now, merit badge counselors are a district level position, and it's a non-paying position. So if you have parents that have special qualifications that they want to help youth in your unit or the council, have them fill this out. It costs nothing, and it goes to the district, and then they're merit badge counselors. Very simple process. Another thing you need to keep in mind is, once you turn this in, you turn all these forms in, you don't have to redo them again. The only time that you have to redo this form is if you have changes. So if you're adding merit badges, or you're taking away merit badges, or you no longer wish to be a merit badge counselor, then you have to refill this form out. The only other time that you have to refill all this is if you let your YPT lapse. So you want to make sure that you do not let your YPT lapse. You keep your YPT current, then all this every year, you're just going to roll over and you will be a merit badge counselor. It's that easy. And as always, if you have any questions, you're welcome to call your district executives. You're welcome to call one of the scout shops, and they will help you out and guide you in the right direction. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Thank you.